All right. So I mean, this isn't something new, um, but sometimes when you are trading, um, sometimes you get into a trade and you jump out prematurely, and you're really sort of hoping that you're going to make pay, or at least make sure that essentially I'm realizing that sometimes when we get into trades, we don't we're not watching what the price is telling us and what price action and what's actually happening. Um, so this morning I was just doing some little reviews, and then I just realized on analysis, and I realized that hang on a second, it's actually, if you're a scalper or someone who's just looking for really quick trades, and essentially what it is you're just trying to get in and out, say in the next within minutes or also, sometimes the best thing to do to make sure you don't even lose, just track the pivots, right? So let's see now. Can I annotate on this? Oh, I haven't figured it out. But anyway, so I'm going to use this thing to the drawing tools. So if we just take the circle, so Tesla comes in. Um, so the first thing you need to figure out is where is the first pivot. So this is the first. Oops. Oh no. Let's go back. And then draw circle. Let's go out. Of course, in hindsight, this looks easy, but I realize it's not hard at all. Why is my drawing tool not working? Why is the circle not working? Oh, of course it's not working because I'm dragging over. I've been using a different platform, and yeah, I've been using a different platform, and that's why it's not working. In that platform, you drag. All right. So the first pivot, initially you think, okay, it's the opening price, but if you think about it, right? If you're tracking price, this is the first pivot. Where's the next pivot? Here. Then it drops. Actually, no. Let's not even do that. Let's not do that. This is the first pivot down. Goes all the way up. I actually believe this is the next pivot. But anyway, goes all the way up. This is the next pivot. Okay? Comes down, next pivot. So now what you're looking for is, what is price going to do at this point? Does it cross or does it come down? If it crosses, like it did over here, this is your entry. You could take this as your risk. You could probably even take this as your risk. For me, I take this base as my risk. And then you just track it based on the pivots. So the next pivot is here. Comes down. Next pivot again, here. And at this point, you're checking to see, you've moved your stop up here. So if you just take this, this is now your stop because this was the last pivot. And you're hoping price is going to keep going over. So you keep moving your stop. At this point, let's say you've gotten in here. This is your stop. You've exited at this point. So if you want, you could also play it back the other way. For me, I can't really short Tesla because my broker doesn't have Tesla shares. But let's actually do that. I mean, I'll give you another example. This is actually a lot harder to see because of the fact that the price is kind of very choppy. So at this point, you can only just see a downtrend, but there are actually pivots where it's harder to see. So let's just see when price starts to slow down. This is where this thing actually works really, really well. So when prices slow down, i.e. the momentum is actually a lot slower. Now you're looking for, this is a pivot here, obviously. So let's just mark this. This is a high. Price reverses, retraces, next pivot. Now at this point, this is a low, this is a low. So now at this point, you can now take the trade. Of course, sometimes it may come back down, but you never know. And this is the test. Does it break this high? And if it does break this high, this is your entry over here. This is usually your risk to the next pivot. Now, price generally tends to head back to the VWAP. I think I mentioned this in other videos. Price always ends up going back to the VWAP. So what you do, you go mark that next pivot. So now you're probably expecting price to come down. And then where would you put your stop? This is your next pivot here. Or you could actually track back and see where the previous pivot was, which is over here. So, or even the high, which was over here. So now that you now know that that is where price is, or at least that's the last pivot itself, it's like different stairs, right? So you're just kind of marking the different levels. And as price goes from one level to the next level to the next level to the next level, you're moving your stop to the next level to the next level. So maybe just a tiny bit below. So now you're just thinking, okay, this is it here. It's gone up here, come down. So now you're thinking, this could be a reversal. But of course, the VWAP acts as resistance. So your stop is still over here. You're expecting price to reverse. But price doesn't reverse. It goes past the VWAP. It now goes to another pivot. Let's mark this with another circle. Goes to the next pivot. Now we have a potential head and shoulders. So price comes up, comes back down to this point. This is still your stop, of course. Or you may want to move your stop to VWAP. But of course, you're going to get stopped out. Because at this point, you have this pivot here, this pivot. So this looks like a head and shoulders. So price is looking like it's going to reverse. But of course, it doesn't actually reverse. You have, I mean, if you play wedges like I do, you can already tell price is going to go back up because you have a triangle at this point, an ascending triangle. If I could just mark that. Right? And this is obviously the base of the triangle. But let's just take this because it looks messy. Right? And look at how price explodes because of this triangle. But at this point, price has already gone through this pivot. You may even set a buy order over here if you want, because you know that price is heading up. You put your stop at the base over here, and you have to ask yourself, where are you targeting? You're obviously targeting the high or something close to it. So you keep tracking it and keep following price, right? So you're probably in at this point. For me, I probably get in at this point because it's broken this triangle. For me, this is a sign that we are definitely going up. So I think this is a better entry than going in and breaking the pivot, because price could also reverse back down again, and it could reverse on you, and at which point you are losing the trade. So for me, I think it's better you take the trade in the direction of price from the bottom. And like someone said when I was watching a video the other day, it's like, what is the point of waiting here? Because you have this much that you're actually risking. Here, you're putting your risk here anyway. So you might as well just enter here and just let it do its thing, okay? Anyway, so now you've gotten price here. This is the next pivot. So this is where you actually put your stop. And then price goes up. And then you have another pivot. Come on. Right? Price comes back down. You're expecting price to hold at this level, but instead it comes back down. Now this is where you have to ask the question. Do you move your stop up to this level, or do you keep your stop here? Now if you keep your stop over here, you obviously get stopped out. But you could decide, okay, if it still goes back up, again, like I would normally do, following the trend, just kind of draw a trend line. You can actually get in here again. This time, this is your risk. Excuse me. This is your risk. And I should probably put this circle up there. And this is obviously the new pivot, right? And at this point, you're in here. You're targeting this level because this is your risk. So this is 1-to-1. You get past it, right? It comes back down, reverses. You probably want to, I mean, at this point, if this is your target, remember this is high of data, chances price will definitely reverse. But anyway, now you have a head and shoulders. And also you have this developing a triangle, a symmetrical triangle. So price could potentially go down. So at this point, you could also take a short at the base of this triangle. Of course, this is another pivot. Breaks down this level, another pivot. Of course, you're in here short. And now you are now trying to figure out, this is the last pivot. So this is another one, trying to see what happens when price gets to this level, comes back up, retraces, another pivot. So definitely the momentum is on the downside. And how do you know this? Because look at the candles. The red candles are stronger than the green candles. So you see price coming down, keeps going down, and you're tracking these pivots. Come on. So you're tracking these pivots. And it's also nice when you see price do this, i.e. it doesn't retrace all the way back. It just retraces sideways slightly and then goes down, sideways, goes down, back to the VWAP, which is usually your target. I mean, from all the way up here, you probably would be targeting the VWAP anyway. Price now goes through, bounces. Now you're now looking to see what's going to happen. This was your last pivot up. And usually what happens with price, as you have seen in the past, is it kind of stays around the VWAP, but you don't know. So if you decide you want to get into this trade, you probably want to get in at the cross of this pivot. Price gets in, this is your stop now, or even the basis here is your stop actually. So you get in, price, as you can see, is going up in steps. Gets to this level. Now for me, I don't think price is going to cross this level anyway, like you would say in hindsight, but it's just because price has spent so much time over here, it's very, very difficult for price to get through. Price comes all the way down, retraces, head and shoulders, and then as you can see. So the point is, you're following price as you are moving, and you are taking your trades based on how price is moving. You're not predicting, you're just following the trades. You're following price and seeing how it's moving. Of course, on a higher time frame, if we go up to say the 5 minute, you would even you'd even get a better idea of how price is moving. So as you can see, price comes down. See, this is the thing. When I'm usually trading at this point of the day, I look at the 5 minute time frame only because I just want to sort of, just see price move. And as you can see, the pivots are a lot further apart. So you're missing a lot of really good trades, especially on a ticker like Tesla, where you can see Tesla moves $2 in like this little in the space of 10 minutes. $2 is a lot of money. So if say you're playing 10, 20, 100 shares, I normally play about 50 to 100 shares on Tesla. $2 will give you about 200, 100 just from 10 minutes. So just kind of doing that all the way through the time, through the day, you're tracking pivots and you're just taking quick scalps as you're going through, and you can literally make all your money through that. It's just something that I just picked up. Instead of sort of waiting for price to hit certain levels and then taking bigger risks or bigger chunks and then hoping for price to move, because of the kind of person I am, I don't have a lot of patience. I tend to want to get in and out of trades. And I find that if I am following price like this and tracking the pivots, what I used to do in the past was I used to draw trend lines. And I'll draw a trend line and I'll get out. But then I was always being faked out. And I realized the problem was I wasn't following the bigger trend, which is why I then moved to the 5 minutes to follow trends. And that tend to work pretty well. But sometimes you get, wicks coming out of candles and things like that, which kind of makes your trends, kind of messes up your trends, because as you can see, it gets really straight and then the wick kind of messes up the trend. And at that point you're thinking, is this a reversal? And if you wanted to, you could probably go up to the 10-minute chart if that's what you want to do, to follow a trend like that, in which case you kind of hide some of the wicks. Actually, you get more wicks in that regard. This is kind of looking messy at the moment. But anyway, I just thought to kind of share that whole idea of following price. I wish sometimes you could see the price action in seconds, in like 30 seconds, but of course that would be a bit too much, I guess. But you'll be able to sort of get through things like this, because it's very difficult to figure out where price is kind of retracing each time as it's going through here. So, all right, so that's basically what I wanted to share. Just really kind of looking at price and seeing how the price action is following the different steps and following the different pivots. I mean, what one could even do is when price just makes a different pivot, you can kind of mark that out even with a short line, and then see how price breaks through. When it breaks through, you kind of calculate your risk based on that and take the trade.